16th Avenue Southwest intersection. Working with Al to put together an 8-zip application for a potential roundabout at that intersection. I got an application put together. I sent it to Al for review, so I just need to kind of meet with him on it to go over any last changes that we have. That's due on the end of the month. We did, Al asked us to measure some stockpiles, so we measured a couple on the Jaeger pit, and then we also measured another one just last week at the Sickler pit. And then we are working on a future chip seal project too. Need to meet with Al to determine the scope of that project, but that probably wouldn't be till 2024 when we're looking at. So, is there any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Krebs? If not, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see, it's not quite 10 o'clock, so I think we'll move down to planning and zoning, Mr. Josephson.
Thank you, Commissioner Franchuk. County Commissioner Steve Josephson, County Planner, and I'd also like to welcome both Commissioners Claris and White. I'm available if you have any questions, need to talk to me about anything, please call, leave a message. And if I'm not over here, I'm at City Hall, but I will get back with you. So there were two items that went to the last Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on December the 1st. Both of them were requests for minor subdivision plats. The first one was Bruce Kronk was requesting a minor subdivision plat for the Indigo Acres subdivision, and that's located in Section 34, Township 138, Range 96. Both the Planning and Zoning Commission and staff recommended approval, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Anyone have any questions on the minor plat? This is just Highway 22 south by the Speedway Road, I guess, just a little right south of there on the east side of the road is where it's at. If no other questions, look for a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I would move Stark County approval of MSP 01-22, the minor subdivision plat for the Indigo Acres subdivision as depicted in the application materials, as well meeting all requirements of the Stark County zoning ordinance and being in the best interest of the public health, safety, and welfare.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
I have a second. Any other discussion? Go roll call vote. Commissioner Messer?
Aye.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh?
Aye.
Commissioner Clares? The chair votes aye, motion carried. And the second one?
Thank you. The second one was David and Desiree Royer and Larry Goldsmith requested a minor subdivision plat of the Rollaville subdivision. It's a replat of Lot 1, Block 2 of Antelope subdivision, and it's in Section 17, 139-91, containing approximately 10 acres. Both the Planning and Zoning Commission and staff recommended approval, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Mr. Josephson? Now I'll look for a motion to approve or deny this request.
Mr. Chairman, I move Stark County approval of MSP 02-22, the minor subdivision plat for the Rollaville subdivision as depicted in the application materials, meeting all requirements of Stark County ordinance and also being in the interest of public health, safety, and welfare.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. To Mr. Clarkson, second on it. Okay, any other discussion? Roll call vote. Commissioner Masser?
Aye.
Commissioner Clares?
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh?
Aye.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. I'll notify the applicants and property owners this
Okay.
morning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
If you want to talk about the official newspaper, that would be quick.
Okay, we'll drop down to the Stark County official newspaper. I guess the auditor has some input on that.
So we did not have the newspaper on our ballot for the general election. So with that being said, the Dickinson Press is really our only option as far as a newspaper currently. So I would just like the board to make a motion to accept the Dickinson Press as our official newspaper for the next 4 years.
Was there an application applied?
I don't have an application, but I can get one from them. There was just some confusion. There's a new person in the forum out of Fargo, and they didn't realize that they had to put in an application to be the official newspaper.
Okay, then you'll obtain that then, right?
Huh?
Then you'd obtain that then? if
Yes, I'll have them send one over. I just basically saying that they accept to be the official newspaper for the next 4 years.
So the next election,
4 years.
general
No,
election.
it's 4. There's a
It's
series
4
of
years.
statutes that deal with it, and essentially it says that the newspaper that was last voted in is elected until a successor is chosen. So you can look at that as if, since nobody applied, there's no successor that has been chosen, they're still qualified to continue in that aspect. If there's a vacancy that occurs, the county commission can go ahead and appoint an official newspaper. So there's this kind of weird gap in between where there's a bit of a vacancy because nobody was on the ballot, but the Dickinson Press is still qualified. So I think it's essentially a little bit of a show to you for you to appoint them, but because they'll continue in that role. But I think it's a good thing to appoint them so that you've got that kind of extra added layer that we are recognizing them as the official newspaper.
I just have a sidebar question on this, is that, are we as a state getting any closer to the approval of electronic minutes being the acceptable publication? I know it gets discussed and then it gets buried and all this kind of stuff, but I know we have to do this today, but it would be nice at some point if we could kind of get there, but,
I haven't heard anything further about that.
okay, thank you.
Other discussion, then I'll look for a motion to approve the Dickinson Press as the official newspaper for Stark County.
I'll make the motion that the Dickinson Press is the official paper of Stark County.
Okay, well,
Add until the next election.
so that'd be 4 years.
The 4 year, okay, not the presidential one.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Let's get a little more time. What the contract you have with Macoff Kellogg with that too? Yeah.
Metcalf Kellogg has been doing our mental health hearings for a long time. And they just sent over a new memorandum of understanding that they'll continue to do that. They've asked for an additional $200, which I think is appropriate. We're seeing a lot more of those cases. And very few firms or individuals handle them. And I think the last time, I don't remember exactly. I think we originally entered into this MOU with them like 8 years ago, and it hasn't been updated since. So, Attorney Wanko from the city it's also her firm. She had sent it over, asking for an updated MOU, and then with the request of the additional, I think, $200 per month. And like I said, from my point of view, I think that that's completely acceptable, especially how many years has passed without us ever raising it, and just the amount of mental health cases that we are seeing. The other option is out of county or out of city attorneys, and that gets to be very pricey because I'm end up paying a mileage and other things. So.
Okay, yeah, there was discussion on that. I'll have to look for a motion on this case.
I would move that we authorize the chairman to, or this is your contract, Amanda?
The chairman can sign it. It's with the county.
authorize whoever needs to sign this memorandum of understanding with MacGuff regarding the mental health contract representation.
Do you have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second that.
You have a second? Any other discussion? Roll call vote, Commissioner Messer,
Aye.
Commissioner Clares,
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries.
And just to be clear, this is so that individuals who find themselves in that position have representation. My office handles all of the filing, and we are the petitioners essentially. But this is MacGuff Kellogg's contract so that the individuals who find themselves in that position have legal representation. So in case there was a question about that.
Okay. Well, we'll go into recess then for the park board meeting then.
Lisa Heiser, the recording secretary for the Park Board. I will call the meeting to order at 10 o'clock this morning. And then I will ask for Bernie Marsh to be elected as chair pro tempore. Are there any objections to that? Hearing none, we'll turn the meeting over to Mr. Marsh.
All right. Are we missing any board members or anybody for today? Jason is missing. All right, I guess we'll move right on. We'll welcome our new board members, Corey White and Paul Claris. And now we'll go into ratifying the agenda. Is there anything to ratify for today's meeting? All right, if not, then we will accept the agenda as it is, or do I have to have a vote on it? Okay, I'll take a motion to accept them.
Chairman, I'll move to adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and second. All those in favor of accepting the agenda signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. The agenda stands. Meetings from October 6th. If there's any additions or corrections to that?
The only correction that I had on there, I had a typo in the attendees, so I misspelled that, but that is correct in the actual minutes that will be signed.
Great. Yeah, all those in favor of accepting the minutes with the correction that Lisa made, signify, we need a motion for it first. Anybody want to give me a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the October 6, 2022 minutes.
Have a first, does everybody want to second it?
I'll second it.
Right, all those in favor, we have a first and a second, all those in favor of accepting the minutes as with the correction of Lisa, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. County Parks Director Lisa Heiser,
Okay.
report.
Good morning, board members, and welcome to our two new ones. So you'll get lots of information from me on information going on as far as events and what we're doing. I'll kind of fill you in as we go along here for the next month. But welcome aboard. I do have a new sign. If you've been south of town at all, we've got a new sign that went up, and I understand I haven't been out there yesterday, but I was told that the new sign, the top of it's on now. So on Thursday, we will be looking at getting the software on my laptop to program for the electronic billboard piece of it. And then Friday, it should go live. So we should be able to put some information out on events.
That's
So,
exciting.
yeah, very nice. It's very long needed. So, and then we'll be working on some different events that we have so far and booking already. Probably within that 70 to 80% booking at the fairgrounds. And then we just got Rough Rider Motorsports schedule for the year. So that'll be exciting to see all the things that they have going as well. So just doing a few things there. And if you have any questions for me. Thank you.
All right, Rough Rider Motorsports meeting.
No, we're gonna do the fundraiser first.
What's up?
The fundraising one first.
Okay, you want to jump down
Business.
to fundraising first? Okay, we'll go to old, well, they were.
Oh, I guess you're talking about this. I did meet with Rough Rider Motorsports and got their schedule and talked about a few things of what we're doing for the year was all I was gonna report to you there.
All right,
Yep, sorry, Bernie.
not a problem. Okay, then. We'll move on down to old business.
Okay, so the fundraising update I have for you, I've got all but one bucking chute sold, so we'll be announcing those people as soon as I get that last one done. I would like to thank the Dickinson Press for doing an article. They did an article in the paper, and so we've gotten a lot of calls on that and people wanting to help, either by virtue of supplying stuff for us for the building, or just getting onto our fundraising brochure. So we've got a lot of those out. A lot of those meetings will now take place in the beginning of January, and we'll seal those with contracts, the ones that want to pay right away or over time. So there's some of those. They talked about the indoor gun range, and I've gotten a lot of calls on that as well for support of that. So you'll hear more on that probably in the January meeting as I have an update. Any questions?
That's exciting,
It is.
really good.
Very.
And thank you to the Dickinson Press for doing that,
Yeah, thank you.
bringing the attention on to us. It's a good thing. Okay, we'll move on to new business. Mower purchase request.
So you have in your packets two different mowers, and I'm requesting to purchase a mower that is actually outside of my budget. Chairman Schwartz and I talked about how we can support the motorsports park a little bit better than what we have been doing in the past. And so I'd like to add a mower to our fleet so that we can help with the mowing. That seems to be one of the pain points for the new boards at the motorsports, Rough Rider Motorsports. They just don't have the time. They all work full-time, as most people do that are leasing the facility. And so I'd like to make that change to where we at least can do the mowing. That way, the people that are attending that facility see that it is well kept, and that's really important to me at the fairgrounds and at the motorsports park, and to eliminate some of the weeds and different things if they don't have time to trim because it's rained all week or something, and they can't do it on a Thursday, and we could. So I'd like to do that if we could.
Who do we have out of our staff that would be doing it?
Well, between myself and Kerry Reindell, he's the one that's been helping me last year, and he intends to come back, I assume, Reindell. And so, he was quite a bit instrumental in doing a lot of the repairs that I couldn't do at the fairgrounds this year. And I think we need to do some of that, some attention over there as well. And we may, it may come to a time where we just have a summer intern to help do some of that as well.
Well, I think that's probably something we're definitely going to be looking at in the future. And so this unit would just stay at the fair, at the motors?
We'll probably, well, it just depends. I don't know how much room they have to keep inside, but we'll just take them back and forth, because we have one at the fairgrounds. That's the park boards that we could go with 2 mowers if we need, just to make things quick.
How old is the one at the fairgrounds?
How old is it? 2018, I believe they bought that, or 2017.
John Deere as well?
Yes, yep. And it's very well maintained, and it does a good job for what we need.
You have space at the fairgrounds to
Yes.
house this as well.
Yep, in our maintenance building.
Well, it is our property out there too, and we should be taking care of it if, you know.
Yes. And it's a reflection on us.
What's that?
There is storage out there if needed.
All right, well,
You have 2 options there. The first one is the Z970R. That one is $16,795. Now, these are commercial grade because we're obviously going to use them to that point. And then the other one is a Z960M for $14,225. And basically, the differences in those are the rear discharge on one and the horsepower. It's basically 31 horsepower versus 35, which I don't know that that's a big deal. The rear discharge, maybe, and we're adding a sunshade to that in what's called a trash kit. Basically, there's a spot you can put a bucket and pick up garbage, because we do that a lot.
Size of the deck is the same, either one?
Yes, 72 inches.
do you have a preference?
You know, the rear discharge is probably more of a preference for me because we can use it as mulch. This way, it keeps the roadways cleaner as we're mowing by some of those. We can do it either way. For $2,000, it's just a little better machine, but
I'm not a riding lawnmower subject matter expert, but I know that John Deere also, do they have a couple different engine types in those? Because I know, like the Kawasaki motor, I think holds up a little better than some of the other motors that they have in them.
I don't know that this one says anything about the motor type.
Corey, I believe in the one that we have out there now, the existing one is I think it's Briggs, and it's pretty well stand up. And I would recommend too that we use the rear discharge, because when we get in around, if we blow all the grass where it shouldn't go, this way it'll just discharge out the back.
On builders, yep.
Yeah, and you don't want it on the roadway, but, you know, because it's just like having cardboard or anything else on there.
It talks about the engine as an FX 921V. Doesn't really say. It says that's the model and manufacturer, but that's all it really says. So I'm not sure about that, Commissioner White.
The rear discharge is the 970.
Yes, the one that's the $16,000 one.
Was there any discussion amongst the board as far as what we want to do here? I mean, are we gonna buy it? Are we gonna buy a mower? And if we are, which one?
So you're saying it's not in your budget, you're hoping, where would that, if we select either one, where would those funds come from?
That's completely up to the board. I don't know where the excess funds would come from.
Okay,
They'd have to come from the general fund at
for the park board or the county commission?
the park board.
Okay. Yes, got it. Okay.
You have truck and trailer to transport?
We
from-
do.
Okay,
Yeah, it's the road departments, but we steal it a lot.
gotcha.
So does Mike.
So Corey, to answer your question, it is a Kawasaki engine.
It is. Thank you.
I guess I'm looking for direction from the board on what we want to do.
I mean, I have no problem going that direction. I just want to make, so it would come out of park board general funds.
Yes.
Got it.
I don't know if Karen is still here or not, but.
Is there a depreciation schedule on it, or?
I'm not sure what the auditor's office does with that. I used to keep a depreciation schedule for the fair board, but when all that's transferred over to the county, then I assume that they keep that.
Well, there is no tax advantage individually, obviously, to the county, because we're not a filing entity, but yeah, for life expectancy, probably a reasonable question.
I guess I would like to see us do it, and I would like to see us do the rear discharge one, if anybody wants to make a motion to that effect.
And so in addition to that, you want the sunshade?
That's included in that price is the sunshade and the
Oh,
cash receipt.
got it.
Yeah.
One thing here, I know one thing about the sunshade on the John Deere riding lawnmowers. The roll cage kind of leans forward a little bit. It's not so, they catch a lot of tree branches when you go under them and they rip them shades right off. So I've seen that happen just because it slants forward.
I don't think there really is.
I don't think we have a single tree.
I don't think we do.
No, and at the fairgrounds, you know, the other one we have doesn't have a sunshade. The only reason why I asked for a sunshade, and maybe we don't need to do that, is because I just had skin damage stuff burnt off, so.
Well, I guess just for the comfort of
only
the
reason why.
operator,
Yeah.
for $200, I mean,
And if we're mowing under there, it looks like it folds down, so I'm not real sure if that's
It does fall down.
It does, so we could technically fold that down, because we don't really, you know, the only thing I've ever ran real close to was the signs that are, so I just stay away from those.
Well, I would move that we authorize the purchase of a John Deere Z970R mower for the price of $16,795. And the funds obviously come from the Park Board Reserve Fund, or not, I don't know what.
General fund
General
is all
fund.
they called it, yeah.
that's for if picking up garbage and holding garbage.
I would second.
Do you want to add on the options, or do you just want to buy the basic more?
I thought he said, I thought she
The
said. that-
options
The
were
option-
included in this price.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I thought you had those two on the side here,
Yeah.
underneath there for.
Oh, yes,
to
I
raise
do,
that-
I'm sorry,
To raise that total up.
I misspoke, it's at the
17.
bottom.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
17,174.
apologize.
I'll
Yeah.
start over to change the budget or the sales price of $17,174.89. Thanks for finding that.
Yeah,
I didn't
thank
go
you.
far enough down the sheet.
I didn't either.
Okay, we have a motion to purchase the C970R with the options for $17,000 amount. Is there a second?
Paul had seconded.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that. So on the bottom there, for discussion on the bottom one, that picture there, that's for collecting picking up and storing garbage, or what is that?
It's basically, you put a bucket, a 5-gallon pail in there, and so it just holds it there, versus right now what I do is I put it between my legs, and then you're constantly having to get off and do, and Kerry kind of does the same thing, but he's got a reacher. He's a little longer armed than me, so I have
That
to
was
get off.
just for
but-
clarification, so we knew
Yep.
how that worked.
Yep.
All right, all those in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes. And when will that be purchased?
They'll order it, and then we'll probably, they'll invoice us for it right away, and then get it ordered, so I'll have that bill in before year end.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Does maintenance happen at the county shop then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, there was, just for both of you that know, the years ago, I think in 2017, there was a motion made for the road department to maintain and provide maintenance, what we needed out there, what I couldn't do prior to my coming.
All right, we will move on down, unless you have some more business for us, Lisa, we'll move to the motorsport guys.
Well, I'm just presenting their invoice to you. I'll give you a little backstory on that. So in the October meeting, this invoice is at the bottom of your packet there, was provided to the board. No, I hadn't seen it, and so they thought we were going to write a check to them. And so when I was asked for that, I had to look at it. So that's why it's in front of you right now. It is outside of the budget items that I had for the motorsports park. And so if you look at a few of these things, some of the repairs, rain runoff repairs, fixing the bleachers from the snowstorm. They purchased a camera and installed it, sprayed for mosquitoes, and then moved the ticket booth. The only one that I really knew about was the ticket booth, not actually a cost to it. They just asked if they could move it, and I approved the moving of that because it did make sense. So that's for the board to talk about, and the Rough Rider Motorsports is here to answer any questions. I did request that we have, should you decide to approve it, whatever amounts you're approving to, based on them providing the receipts and the proof of payment like we do for everybody that gives us that, such as the Rough Rider Commission. So I will turn it over if you guys want to come up. Brad Hardigan.
So this year with the rain and everything, that was obviously this spring was just a mess for everybody, which caused a mess out there. So a lot of this is just in regards to the amount of time that we had to spend fixing stuff. One of the discussions we had with Lisa earlier last week was that wall that just keeps sloughing off and sloughing off. I mean, we've done everything we could to try to fix that guardrail, and it's just not happening. And she's got a plan put together for the start of hopefully the spring to get that fixed. But that was just us trying to get it fixed so that we could operate for the season. And it was a struggle the whole season with the amount of rain that just kept pushing that guardrail out further and further. We ended up cutting it off in the end because it just would snap bolts. Yeah, and then the other stuff is just, I mean, it's just kind of outside of our lease, trying to make that facility more aesthetically pleasing. The mowing was a massive undertaking this year with the amount of rain. So, it's just relative in everything we do out there. I don't think the 5,000 is really, it's not a very large amount for the amount of time we've spent the last 2 years making that facility to what it is right now. And we want to keep moving forward, trying to make it nicer and better for everybody. So, any questions?
So how much time do you guys spend a year on erosion control out there?
Last year, I probably 4 days a week.
Okay.
And I mean, sometimes we were out there till at previous meetings, we had some pictures and stuff that we brought up. I mean, we literally have rented backhoes and cut trenches and threw rocks in and basically made drain tile everywhere, that we've had major issues, and it has helped substantially. So, I mean, I can't give you a solid number, but it's substantial.
One thing I'd like to comment too is this summer we had all that really rich recycled asphalt. We did go out there, and I think we cut a bunch of it off. We built a berm. We diverted a lot of water into their holding pond. We fixed, hopefully, a lot of their problems. I realize there's going to be a few more, but we really haven't tested it yet with any large amount of rain since we did it, but I think that'll really help them a lot.
Yeah, it'll make a huge difference. We did get some rain, and we could see where the rain came down where there wasn't the crushed asphalt, and it literally eroded right into the pond, which we can handle that amount. But the rain used to just go straight over into the grandstands down on the racetrack, and it just made a mess everywhere. So,
And have you had to take a blade out there several times?
they graciously give us a blade for the summer months. So every chance we get, we're grading parking lots and cleaning stuff up. So anytime we get any amount of rain, we're fixing stuff. So
I understand that this amount is outside of the budget.
Right.
It was outside the 22 budget, correct? So have we upped the budget for 23 to kind of maybe prepare ourselves for these contingencies going forward?
Well, no, because I didn't know any of these things. I do have some amounts for it. What I do typically is go what we've spent for the year, because that was due already at that October budget, or prior to that, actually. You guys just approved it at the October budget. We've talked about some of the things that we needed to do to help the situation and get rid of some of that water. But yeah, most of it, the cameras, those, I've already got those ready to go. They're actually been ordered, so those are good. Spraying mosquitoes, that's nothing that we do for, Rough Rider days or anything else, so I don't know what you want to do with those.
Like the fans, literally, we've had some leave because they were getting so bad, so.
Well, that's
Yeah.
where we can relocate those bats.
No. No, thank you.
Brad, I do have a question. So some of these look like actual hard costs, the camera and the product to spray. Are those others just like a value of service that your crew goes
Yes.
and says, hey, we did 10 hours and we think we're worth $25 an hour?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, the hours, we could actually, if you wanted to, keep track of hours, but the amount of hours we spent this summer, I mean, I think we spent 4 days just fixing the bleachers after the snowstorm. They just bent all the backs down. So we bent them all back, re-riveted everything, like it took, I mean, $650. I mean, if we would have hired a crew to come fix everything, we'd have spent a fortune.
That's
So-
that's my point. We have to put a value on volunteerism, and it sounds like you guys made it a better place
Yes.
at the end than when you started, so.
I mean, that's the goal. I mean, when we took over, it looked like a junkyard out there. So we're just steadily fixing, cleaning, just to make it a better place.
Just one comment I'd like to tell you too is that when they did take it over from the previous board, we talked about that the county really had a cost in cleaning up and disposing of a lot of that garbage, and they had never submitted anything despite my requests, but they just did it and they cleaned it up themselves. And the only thing we paid for was to have the garbage dumpster out there, which, we got rid of a lot of stuff. So that was,
It's cleaned up now?
it's cleaned up, yes. Yep,
So
they've
no-
done a
No
good
other
job of
cost
that.
for 2023?
I mean, we'd be delusional to think not.
We're making some
Yes.
things, to upgrade the building
they've
and
been-
some of the storage areas where they have to work and,
I mean,
doing
this was
some
my
of that.
first year working out there, but I saw improvements from the first time we came there till,
Yeah.
I mean, they're working constantly.
They have a
We're
good
all
vision.
volunteers. I mean,
Right.
so the amount of time we've spent out, there's 4 families that are out there on a regular basis, 3 to 4 days a week. So,
And your family,
yeah. So,
so, yeah. So that's why we thought we should help them. And I don't know, maybe we do have to revise their contract starting January, because it does say they have to mow and they have to do all these things. So maybe that's something we need to sit down and look at, what that contract actually says and what we're actually gonna do for the future. That may make a difference, so.
I think that's a really good idea. Sounds like there's a little bit of gray area, who's responsible for what, and obviously you guys want to see it nice, so you just do it because it needs to be done.
And we want it nice, it's our
Yeah.
facility.
It's our, yeah, I mean, it reflects back on us, so.
and we got some other stuff going on. So we, previous, was it last year or the year before, purchased the acreage to the north.
Yes.
So we're putting together some quotes on different stuff that we've met with different people that they just want to see out there, like a small RC park, small motocross track. There's a lot we could do with that acreage to the north to bring more people to the facility. So we're working on that right now, hoping in the next meeting or two we can throw that in front of everybody.
One thing I had on the bleachers, I know that was discussed before. When you guys bent all that back into place and re-riveted it, was it,
It's just aluminum.
Okay.
Like there's the back that your back would rest on. So the pieces that got bent were the pieces that go underneath to the actual grandstands.
okay,
So we just physically bent them back, and then it had popped a bunch of rivets, so we just brought rivet guns out there and
and just re-put rivets in the old
Yep.
rivet holes?
Yep.
Okay.
any further questions? And I like the camera. I can go back on Amazon or whatever we follow. That's where I purchased it, so I can pull any real invoice or costs that we had involved in some of this stuff too. That shouldn't be a problem.
All right. Well, thank you. Is there any more questions?
Bernie, I'd like to make a quick comment for our new commissioners. We have Kerry Rindale worked at the road department. He is kind of out at the fairgrounds doing a lot of maintenance stuff. If we need him for a short an operator, he comes back. He'd be a guy that could maybe help out at the speedway with a lot of that stuff because he's about as handy as they come. So he can maybe pick up some of the slack that these guys are really working hard on during the week. So.
Great.
One other thing I'd like to add is I think with the erosion control issues that we've had over the years out there, that the documentation of even if it's volunteered or the man hours put into it, like Neil suggested earlier. So
We can definitely start keeping track from here on out. That's not a problem. I couldn't tell you so we've had it for 2 years now, and I could just give you a rough estimate, but that's about it. But we could keep hard numbers from starting this year.
How long is your contract for?
5. 3 more seasons, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, what do we want to do with this, guys?
I'll make a motion, we pay the $5,150 to Rough Rider Motorsports.
Is there a second?
A second.
All right, we have first and a second to pay the motorsport bill of $150. All those approved signify, or do we have to, since this is money, go?
Do a roll call.
Okay. Commissioner Messer?
On roll call?
Yes.
Aye. So- Yes, we should do a roll call, I think.
Well, I'm doing the roll call.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to approve the,
I would.
All right.
absolutely. Thank you.
Commissioner Franchek?
Aye.
Commissioner Claris? Aye. Commissioner White?
Aye.
Is anybody on the phone that I should be asking that?
Randy?
Okay, chair votes aye. So we will take care of that. Thank you. Is there anything else, or we just move on to the next meeting date, which will be January 3rd?
And we just need to adjourn and we're done.
All right, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll move to adjourn.
Anybody second?
I'll second.
All those approve of adjourning the meeting signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign.
If you're gonna make a break, make it short.
Order. Next on the agenda, we'll do the MIDA bonds at Dickinson Catholic Schools. You have somebody here representing them. Do you want to step to them?
The two of us are, but our attorney Jim Stewart should be calling in, so
Okay.
I think he thought we'd be at 10:50, so I can send him a note to let him know. But I'd certainly be happy to entertain some questions and talk to you about the project while he dials in. Are we prepared for a dial-in? Let me send him a quick note. I have Zach with me from Choice as well, so let me.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll watch for Jim to call in. He's the bond attorney that handled the last MIDA bond that Trinity Catholic Schools submitted for back on the high school build after the fire. And so he'll be able to speak into questions specifically about the MIDA bond and what that looks like for any of you that are unfamiliar. What I handed you before we reconvened here today, I guess I should back up. I'm Maria Scari with Trinity Catholic Schools, current president at the school. So thank you for letting us come in today. What I've provided you is just some background on the current project. We're in the midst of constructing a new early childhood center with room for future elementary growth on the campus of Trinity at our north building. And so if you've been over in the neighborhood of Queen of Peace Parish, you might have noticed a building being constructed. One Commissioner Claris had said, I wasn't sure if it was going to be a convent or what it was going to be. So if you weren't sure what that building is, we are in the process of building a new facility for all of our preschool and pre-kindergarten classes. Right now, we're currently housed in our 3 different school buildings. So at Trinity Elementary West over by St. Patrick's and in Trinity Elementary East at St. Wenceslas. And actually in our high school building, we do have 2 sections of pre-kindergarten this year. We temporarily housed them and got temporary licensing for that building because we ran out of room for our elementary kids at Trinity Elementary West. So it's a very good problem to have, but really we've been enjoying, but not so much enjoying, waiting lists every year for pre-kindergarten. And so I think we're all very well aware of the early childhood shortages in our area. And so this project is not just important to us and the growth of our schools, but important to our broader community because there are over 1,000 childcare vacancies, or needs for over 1,000 childcare vacancies right now. And so within our 3 buildings, we currently have preschool and pre-kindergarten programs. We added a section this year, which took us to 4 sections of pre-kindergarten. Those are full-day programs that have 18 students per classroom. We did end up with a waiting list still, but even with our current kindergarten class this year, and that's in large part due to the health of our pre-kinder program. This is the largest class in kindergarten, that we've had at Trinity in over 30 years. So we're looking at a class of 75 students, and so you can tell that the need is there for us to move students out that are preschool and pre-kinder into a new facility. And so really it was just time for us to make the decision to build this new building. And so the building itself will actually have room for additional growth on top of that. So where we currently have room for about 127 early childhood students within our 3 facilities, we're positioned to, I would say, be in that sweet spot of anywhere from 136 to 142 students would be a win for us. But we'll also have a second floor finished in that building that gives us room for an additional section each of K through 4. When you take a look at our current 2 elementary schools, our East and West schools, we have room for about 60 students per grade K through 4. 20 students per grade at East and 40 students per grade at West. And then when you go to our high school where we have 5 through 12 in that same all-in-one building, we have room for about 75 students. And so we're not quite the right size in terms of the full life cycle of our students from K through 12. And so this building will not just help us to ease the pressures on space at our 2 older buildings, but it will also poise us for that future growth that we expect to continue happening because of the health of that early childhood presence at our schools. So what we're seeking here today with the MIDA bond is what we did years ago, and is that it helps us out in terms of the cost of our project to see the use of bond dollars to keep the rate low on this. So the project itself is broken into 2 phases in what I sent to you or submitted to you today. You'll see phase 1 is the early childhood with that future elementary space finished. That'll be completed by February 1st. We'll begin moving in the spring, but we won't move little kids and during the school year. So you'll see us occupy with students in all early childhood fall of 2023. However, for us to occupy the second floor with elementary students, we'll need the education space required that is a gymnasium and a cafeteria. So we'll break ground on the second phase of the project into next year and hopefully have that done by end of 2023 so we can begin using the gymnasium and the cafeteria for both our little kids for extra recreational space, but also for our after-school activities. We currently and for a long time have been using the Armory and busing kids after school for 5th and 6th grade basketball because we just don't have the time within our fully booked gymnasium for all of those after-school activities. So this will ease some pressure on our system and allow us to get kids home earlier in the evening by having additional practice space. And then we do expect that we would be able to begin occupying the elementary grades by fall of 2024. So then you'd have a fully bustling building in between our high school campus and Queen of Peace Parish at a total price tag at 7.4 is what we're looking at with all soft costs for the first phase. And then we're looking at an additional 5.2 million for the cafeteria and gymnasium. We are in the midst of working on a grant that we hope will deliver on approximately 3.95 million toward the project, but within that grant, it does call for a different style of construction because it would basically use the gymnasium space would be ready as an emergency storm shelter for the Dickinson community. And within the reinforcement for an emergency storm shelter, the building is different. And so it would actually be a $6.8 million building. But even when you're bringing in nearly $4 million in grant dollars toward that building, it's worthwhile to work with making that a grant for not only just the benefit of our schools, but the benefit of our community. So we're working with Choice Bank on our long-term financing. We have enjoyed the use of a bridge loan from the Parish Expansion Fund through the Diocese of Bismarck. So we had a bequest that helped us to get the project started. So we initially used self-funded with cash of about 1.5 million. And then we got a bridge loan through the Parish Expansion Fund for $4 million. So those are the funds currently being used to construct the building, and we'll flip to our long-term financing as soon as we can get that accomplished. And within the pursuit of the MITA bond and long-term financing, that would make right the loan dollars used from the Parish Expansion Fund, but we would not be seeking, of course, the dollars that we self-funded to get the project started. So I'd entertain any questions at this time, and certainly, like I say, I don't know how the people magically phone in, so you'll have to tell me if there is anyone waiting on the phone.
We're waiting for
For James, yes.
James, are you on the line?
The magic didn't happen.
Nope, we'll know when the Oz is dialed in.
About 11, so.
Yeah, he said he would dial in at 10:50 because he thought we'd be on at 11. And I sent him an email because it looked like you'd be ahead of schedule, but one doesn't know how often people check their emails. So does anyone have questions of me? I don't have any great dad jokes or anything like that, so you better just ask me project questions.
Well, I think some of these questions regarding the bonds you could answer.
Okay,
You and
I
have
can sure
talked-
try.
You and I have talked about this, so you're, and so some of the questions come is, as a political subdivision, we can only endorse a maximum amount, and that's 10 million. And so some of the questions is when we get to the end of a year, is there a way we can figure out because if there is another project out that is thinking of using the same financing mechanism that might be out in 23, if there's a way we can sneak that into 22, there is no risk here. We are strictly the endorsing agent.
Right.
So anyway, if you could just try to highlight a couple of those questions.
Yes, ideally, and I know the timeline is tight because it's already December, and I believe you need one additional public hearing on this before you'd be able to approve. And with a 2-week requirement for it to run this week and next week, we would still have a window, but it would be tight close to the holidays. And so I don't know the commission's what your appetite is for that kind of an aggressive meeting schedule this month, but certainly it would behoove you if you're looking at protecting 2023 in case there would be another applicant pursuing the same type of funding mechanism. But if it is too tight and it does push us to 2023, that would occupy your 2023 commitment at 10 million.
I would make that clarification.
Could you step up to the mic? Just state your name, please.
I'm Zach Keller, president of Choice Bank. I would make a clarifying point with Jim when he's on the phone, as he's more familiar with the law as it applies to your limit, to ensure that your approval in 2022 is the qualifying event, if you will, and not the actual closing of the bond and the financing, because that won't occur until 2023. So there would, in essence, there would be no reason to rush the meetings if it only becomes qualifying for you in the event when the bond closes, because even with those late approvals in December, we wouldn't have the bond and the financing completed at that time. Yeah.
Just so the commission is aware, James has our public hearing. He has listed as and I don't know if we're going to contain the same meeting schedule, and he said he can change that, but it would be the first commission meeting in January
Yeah, I see
on
it.
this bond
January 3rd, I see that.
situation.
And if he gets clarified with that today and we can't expedite this, then we'll just fall under the normal schedule. And I don't know if anybody else here is aware of a project either planning or started that would want to use this, source of funds. I'm unaware of any, but that doesn't necessarily mean that.
I don't think anyone's used these funds since our last project,
right.
so.
I haven't,
don't know for
in the 2 years we've been here, nobody's come
Right,
to it.
right. And it is, like you said, like we talked about, is that it is a limited, 501c3s, it's a very limited lane of who can use this, so.
Just to be clear, so is this, do we have a limit as a commission or as a county to $10 million per year, or?
That's my understanding.
Those are federal guidelines, and your attorney knows them much better than I do, but in the conversations I've had, there's penalties that start to incur after that $10 million threshold, so.
So any action that we need to take today is just approve for a public hearing for January, is that
I don't even think you need to take any action today. I mean, if this is something that the board is, interested in entertaining, I think you can just notice it for that special hearing or that public hearing for January. Try to make sure that the other attorney, your attorney is here to answer any questions. And then the rest of it is essentially just paperwork. It's a resolution and then signing.
When I'm looking over here, so you don't want us to sign the resolution or anything until after the public hearing, correct?
I think that you should have the public hearing first. And then, because the resolution is what is, you're essentially giving this resolution, this promise that you're gonna go forward with this. So you'd wanna have the public hearing and then sign that resolution.
Okay, so I would look that the commissioner just set that public hearing for the first commission meeting in January. It'll just, I might have to change it from January 3rd. It just depends on what you guys approve for meeting dates.
Which is the last page of the packet of.
Yep, that
information.
would be the hearing that I'll publish.
And this bond is for phase 2?
For phase one.
Phase 1.
Yep, so it would be, phase one and then a portion of phase two, because the total project is, we're looking at about 14 million, but like I said, with that grant, we think that our ask we will be applying for city, if needed, for a city bond as well, MIDA through the city. So it'll be a combination of the two, and that's what we did on the high school as well.
And actually, I'm gonna reverse myself. That resolution could be, the certificate resolution actually could be signed, because I see that within the document, you do have it talked about being after the the project preliminary approval subject to a public hearing. So if it's something that the commission wants to give preliminary approval to and then have that public hearing, that's fine. That's the way it's worded, so I think you're fine there.
So just to be clear, and for the people that are gonna be watching this is no commitment for any financial,
No.
and if, from the county, it's just,
The county serves as a conduit for the funds to come
because I know that'll
through
be
to
a
Choice
question
Bank.
that a lot of people will come up with is,
Right.
And my understanding of the public hearing is essentially so other entities that may qualify under this can, if they're looking at projects or want to come up and voice their opinion that maybe it's unfair to give all of this to act as the conduit, then that opinion is stated, and then the commission has the ability to kind of weigh that as well.
I think that's a good idea.
So it would all go through my office, all the funds and everything. We'd have it separate, and we'll set up our information with them. I'm assuming I'll have to send my tax exempt stuff and everything into them. And then we disperse the funds through Choice Financial. Is that correct? Okay.
There's no liability to the county whatsoever on it.
But yeah,
Just
I know
pass
that,
through.
but I know that people that are watching this,
Yes.
that's gonna be a question.
Right.
And
might
this,
as well-
this was done in 2015 as well, and there, I have all of that paperwork, and I think I sent it to all of you. Maybe I only sent it to Karen, I'm not sure, but I can certainly send it out again with the minutes from the meeting, the transcript, all of the paperwork if you wanted to take a look at it. But yeah, we just act as a pass-through essentially.
$10 million bond as well, same thing?
I think it was, yeah.
Yes.
Just to be clear, so essentially this is Choice the bondholder in this instance?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And the tax benefit that's created is being directly passed to the borrower in
Yes.
this case.
Yes.
Yep.
So do we have an idea what the bond rates are? Do you,
Well, rates are pretty fluid and interesting right now. But depending on timing, that's when that rate will get set. But yeah.
obviously better than traditional financing at this
Yes.
point?
Yes. For sure.
I think being able to use the county's tax exempt status, as I understand it, is saving you guys significant amount of money to be able to pass the money through our tax exempt status. Is that correct?
That's my understanding as well.
Yeah, essentially, we would take whatever that standard bond rate would look like, and then we do a conversion to change it to a tax equivalent rate, and that's how the savings are passed on, and that's the rate we would apply to the financing. Yeah.
Any other discussion? If not, I'll look for a motion then to sign the resolution and move forward with the public hearing.
So, yeah, just one quick question. My understanding is we would sign both the certificate by the county auditor and the resolution for preliminary approval and the formation of or announcement of a public hearing, right? Okay, so I would move that we authorize the county auditor to sign the certificate as presented and the resolution authorizing the chair to sign the resolution as presented with the change that the public hearing would be at our first meeting in January of 2023.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second. Any other discussion? Roll call vote. Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Claris.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. And you want to just make sure your attorney's there for that meeting then?
I
And
know.
one clarifying point, if we can clarify with Jim ahead of time that it would save your approval for 22 if we did the approval beforehand, is that information the commission would want? And in case you wanted to alter that public hearing date to December? Because we can clarify that today and get you that information, and if it changes your decision on when you want to hold that public hearing.
I don't think we'd be able to move it any sooner than the January meeting.
I think the January date, and that's kind of what was discussed with the attorney, is about
Okay.
as soon as possible.
Yep, okay,
Okay.
perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Dean. Yep, I already noticed that. Hey, Dean,
Yes.
you forgot my delinquent property price.
Yeah, I know. It's,
Okay.
but they were waiting. So,
Oh, gotcha.
okay, we'll go to delinquent property pricing offered to cities. And the auditor, you have a comment in it?
Okay, I provided the commission the list of the properties that Stark County currently has. We have the ones that were obtained this year, and then the second group is the ones that we are carrying over from previous years. The commission, and if you see on my note, we can actually offer these listed properties to the cities for a reduced rate. Usually it's anywhere from $1 to $50. And then because these taxes are actually delinquent taxes that are due are actually the city's own taxes. So we would be giving it to them and then they would take over the taxes and it would put the property back on the tax roll. I have had some interest in the Belfield, original plat of Belfield one that we currently have a minimum sales price of $15,500. Their park board is interested in purchasing that, but they would like to purchase it from the city so that because they're directly in line with the city, and I have a feeling that the city will probably forgive the $840 for their own park board. And so I know that that's one that I do already have a party interested in. So I'm just wondering through the commission which ones you would like to offer to the cities and at which price.
So, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So each of these properties in their own, are unique in their own regard. And, you know, in fairness to the new commissioners, this is probably something that they're not totally on board with at this point. So we could do this or do it at a later date. But the two top properties are basically some small tracts in the middle of a farm field, and I don't know if we have those maps or not. I would recommend we don't do anything with those at this point. The Sundance Coves lot is a retention pond, and so there are some uniqueness to that one as well, in particularly some potential future opportunities to convert those to residential properties. That's going through EPA and the Health Department at this point, so I would suggest we do nothing at this point. The last three, I would be absolutely fine with offering those to the first one to the Gladstone, the last two to the city of Belfield. And the ones that we currently have in inventory, I don't think we have to do anything with it at this point because there's some uniqueness on each of those at this point. But the ones that we just took possession of, I would say we could easily do the last three something with.
What price would you like to offer the lot to the city of Gladstone for?
Yeah, so the statute says something enough to cover costs, which,
I think we amended that. It says any property acquired by the county which is subject to special assessment lien for improvements made by, that's made by a city. Did these have special improvement liens on them?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe sold to that city for cash at any price agreed upon by the Board of County Commissioners and the governing body of the city. So, whatever.
so whatever that expense is, my understanding the cities have been preparing their own deeds, or are we preparing the deed?
I think previously we've always done the deeds. I think we have like a template that we fill in. That's how Pam did the other ones that we sold back to the cities.
But the recording of the deed would be up to the, and the grant, you know, the person who, the city municipality who ends up with it, right?
For the recording portion?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose usually it's this the price plus the recording of the deed. I think, yeah, I think that if you just wanted to like set a price at like $25 maybe to the city of Gladstone and $25 to the city of Belfield for each of their properties, that's pretty,
Yeah.
that'll cover the fee.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Okay, so you have to make a motion then.
Any other, well, I can make, so I would move that we authorize the offer of the parcel 44,003,04186-100 to the city of Gladstone for $25, and parcels 46-0001-06131-000 and 46-0001-06353-000. Those two to the city of Belfield for $25 each as well.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second. Any other discussion?
I have, on the second line, the last three, how long has the county had those properties?
On the second section?
Correct.
The sub, we just got those last year, a year ago.
Last year?
Yes.
Are you talking about the empty lots?
Yes,
Yeah,
the three empty lots.
last year.
Any other questions?
I would have a question about, on the second set of the delinquent properties, you've got 2 drainage ditches.
Yes.
Yeah, they're both,
Why wouldn't we just give those back to the city so they can mow
Because they don't want them.
Want 'em?
them? That's too bad.
I thought it,
Those two, Commissioner Claris, are over in Pheasant Run subdivision, north of Bush Lumber in that area.
Okay.
Yeah, so it does, that's why I said there is some uniqueness on each of those parcels, and so we kind of need to navigate through that.
so I will say, if you get on my bad side this coming year, I will be gifting those parcels to the commissioner
There we go.
of choice.
Can we raise pheasants?
okay, any other discussion? A motion and a second. We have a roll call vote then. Commissioner Messer,
Aye.
Commissioner Claris,
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner White,
Aye.
chair votes aye, motion carries. Next, we'll go to Vanguard contract, Natalie Wandler.
Good morning, Commissioners. It is still morning, so yay to that. I am here to talk about the Vanguard contract. When they gave us a quote this year for our budgets, they forgot about our renewal of our website contract. So there's gonna be a little bit of a discrepancy there. I don't know if you guys all got this piece. Okay. They did, though, usually we don't get an option of renewal 3 or 5 years. We just get the 1 year. Because they're what do I want to call it? Their software and their updates, because of the building costs, they've redone their whole manual. So there's been some increases in cost with their different modules that they offer us. So that has adjusted the price a little bit, but in return, they're going to give us an option of doing a 1 year, 3 year, or 5 year contract. So we will save money each one of those ways. You know, the longer you go, obviously, the cheaper the contract gets. We were budgeted for $12,500 for this year. Depending on which year of contracts we go with, which is the stuff in the bottom on the red, tells us, you know, how much short we're gonna be. Karen and I talked about it. It's in the IT budget. You know, we don't think there's gonna be any issue with $1,150 or $1,700. But we just wanted to know if you guys would like to go with the 5-year contract. I mean, this is our website that the realtors use, everybody uses for pictures of the houses, square footage of the houses, you know, maps of where the properties are located, any kind of inside information on the house, any of that stuff is all on this website. I know a lot of people use it, a lot of banks use it. I don't want to get rid of it because we will have phone calls galore. So, I mean, it's just, I don't see us ever getting rid of it. You know, so my suggestion would be a 5-year contract. I know you guys don't like to go past your commission, the next commission. 3-year contract is fine. I mean, it's totally up to you. So I just need an approval on which one, and then for the chairman to sign the specific contract. And I think she just sent me the 5-year contract, because that's kind of what I was thinking, but we can definitely get the 3-year and get it so that Dean can get it signed before the January date.
So a couple of questions for you, Natalie. Off the top of your head, how long has Vanguard done our website?
2007.
2007, and you're satisfied with their response and performance in that regard?
Very much so.
Well, so am I.
Thank you.
So are there any of those components that are addressed on that page, you know, the component, comparable search, are any of those not used at all much by the public? That you would say,
Well-
well, if you wanted to save $925, get rid of the pro version?
Everything up on the top is pretty much what we use in our office.
Okay.
The remote is one that we can actually check out parcels on a laptop when we're out in the field, and then we can type in as we're going around and doing stuff. We don't probably use it as much as we should, but it's still nice to have. We can check out the city of Gladstone, we can go out, we can take pictures, attach them as we're going down the street taking the pictures. That would be the only one. I mean, the rest of them we use a lot, like on a daily basis. So I don't foresee any of them going away.
Okay. So has Vanguard ever given you like a tracking or a hit count of how often that website is used?
You know what? I just got one not very long ago. And I can print it off. I just got the email. Oh, it's been a little while ago, but not too long ago. If I can find it, I can print it off and get it to you by the end of the meeting.
Okay. And the only reason I'm asking that is if it's not being used, what, you know, whatever. In my business, obviously, we use it.
You use it all the
tremendous,
time,
all
yes.
the time. So it's,
I mean, we get calls on questions about the website almost on a daily basis. So I know there's people out there that use it. The banks, the realtors, I mean, I know there's a lot of people that use it.
I think insurance agents use
Yeah,
it. He's not
I
here
mean,
anymore. Appraisers
yes.
use it, so.
Yeah.
And then just one point of clarification. So this website is totally different than what Vanguard does us from the appraisal evaluations send.
Well, we use their software. So that $11,725 on the top
Yeah.
is their software that we use. That's the number they gave me for our budget, and we bumped it to 12.5. They totally, because the contract is separate in different times of the year, I think they totally missed the website one, and they just sent that to me the other day.
Okay, that's all I have.
Any other questions? It's not to look for approve the contract, depending on how many years you want to go.
Mr. Chairman, based on the recommendation of the tax director, I would move that we accept the 5-year renewal of the Vanguard website contract.
I would second that.
Motion second, any other discussion? Roll call vote then, Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Commissioner Clares.
Aye.
And chair votes aye, motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Next, we'll go to county commission portfolios and boards. I guess you want to go for the portfolios. I guess I've kind of went through. I guess I'll pass these out what I recommend here, and I guess we'll have discussion on that if anybody has any changes or. Go through these, and first of all, I guess what I recommend here for portfolios, myself, I'd be in the Dickinson Zoning Board, County Park, Community Action, Roosevelt Custer, County Zoning, Sheriff's Department. Then I look at personnel and moving human resources to actually should be, I actually think, the same portfolio on. Joette, I don't know how you feel with that, but I think it should be on the same portfolio on there. Then finance, which everybody has, then and then also the auditor's office. I think the chair and vice chair should be overseeing the auditor's office. And then also the county voting a delegate that was voted for last time. Then looking at Neil's portfolios, looking at County Park, Finance, Stark Development, Job Development Authority Board, the Sheriff's Department, State's Attorney, Buildings and Grounds, Veteran Services, Tax Director, and Western Dakota Energy Center, and the auditor. And then on Commissioner Marsh's is the LEC Building Committee, County Park, Housing Authority, Stark Jobs Development Authority, Road Department, Stark County Fair Association. He's a North Dakota State Fair delegate, Information Technology, Asset Forfeiture Committee, and Financing. I'm looking at, for Commissioner Claris would be Emergency Management, County Park, County Zoning Board, Rough Rider North Zone Social Service Board, Information Technology, the Weed Board, Extension Service, Finance, and then also this Southwest Multi-Correction Center with being on the jail board and the Women's Correction Center. And for Commissioner White, looking at Southwest Health Unit, County Parks, Finance, Housing Authority, and Dickinson Airport Board, and Recorder's Office, Sunrise Youth Bureau Board, and Vision West. Any discussion on that, or?
Yeah, if I could, I would, and I know Sean is not here, and hate to cut Commissioner Claris short, but if I could get Emergency Management 911 switched over to my portfolio, I would like that. I think I'm very interested in that, and I sort of think that IT works somewhat in conjunction with that.
Any other discussion on that, or? Anybody have any?
All I know is I'm not interested in it. It's not my wheelhouse.
No, do you feel that, Mr. Claris? Is that fine?
Well, I don't, I don't want to be, what, do you want to add that to your portfolio,
I
Commissioner
would add it to my
Marsh?
portfolio, and you know what, I've got two of them, that housing and Stock Carty, I guess the Housing Authority one, that's a lot of numbers and stuff like that, and sometimes I'm not the sharpest on that, but I can deal with that, but I would like to do the 911.
I think part of the discussion going forward should also be, I think some of these portfolios and departments have grown large enough where they could be a second one on board. So if you're passionate about emergency management 911, maybe you and Paul could collectively serve on that. It's not in my lane. But I think it should be part of a discussion going forward, is so that these department heads have some comfort in those positions, because there's a lot of these that are really going to start growing. And so maybe that's something too. I know that you've been very, Bernie, you've been very sharing of, for example, the road department. You've invited me to a couple of those meetings.
Dean's come to them,
Yeah,
if there's something like that, we have no
I
problem.
think that's awesome. I think that's
inviting
great. It's very educational for me.
Second opinions and stuff like that.
Yep, so, that's my input.
I guess I would add, because the next year, I imagine we'll be doing this very same thing. and-
Probably not.
Or maybe not.
I guess it'll get discussed, I guess it normally does, yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, maybe it would be good to possibly foster in another commissioner, so he'd actually have a clue going into it if he was gonna take over a portfolio. So if you wanna work together on it, I'd be more than happy. You can take the lead on it and I'll follow.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else find anything else in there? I know Vision West is a new one too, that we just joined as members on it this last year, so that's a new one that we've added on that.
Yeah, you'll be our first on that one. I actually do a lot of stuff, I know, but.
Any other discussion, anything else on there? You said look for a motion to approve the portfolios, then with the one adding Commissioner Marsh on with the emergency management and 911.
So moved.
Give a motion, to have a second?
One second.
You have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Next is boards. I guess then the planning and zoning on that it would, we have one, right now there's Byron Richard is on there, then Paul Claris will be on there, then Deneen Dressler is current, and I'm on there, and Kurt Freilich, and we have John Oderman with the city, and now Susie Soboluk was the city, and then two that are up for reappointment are Sue Larson over the Taylor, and then Sandra Kuntz, and also I opened up this, any board members, anybody interested, Brock White from the City of South, our commission is interested in being on the Stark,
board is this?
on Stark
Okay.
County Zoning and Planning. And he's on there so that we need to reappoint, there's two positions, that would be Sandra Kuntz's and Sue Larson's, and then, like I said, Brock White from South there is showing interest in being on that board, so I need approval for two of them to be added to planning and zoning,
Two of the three?
two of the three, yeah.
I think we had more than one application, or were they not qualified? More than Brock White.
It's the only one for planning and zoning, the only other one was for.
It's a different board?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was for Stark Job Authority.
Well, I think part of the thing too is to get that geographic balance. So, I guess, Sue's kind of that Richardson Taylor area as well as Deneen. It'd be nice to have two individuals west, Byron Richard and potentially Brock, and he would actually represent another city commission, which would kind of be nice. But yeah, that would be. I don't know Brock that well, but if he's a city commissioner in South Art, he does have the confidence of his community.
Any other discussion? If not, I'd like to look for a motion to approve two of the three names for the appointment to the Planning and Zoning Board.
I would move that we appoint Brock White and reappoint Sue Larson to the Stark County Zoning Board for a 4-year term.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
Have a second? Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, then County Weed Board, there nobody's up for their right?
So I kind of wanted to go through the board portion a little bit. So we have obviously you have your commissioner boards that there is a county commissioner on, and then you have your boards where the county commissioner chooses the board members. I just wanted to maybe suggest to the commissioners going forward, as we do have spots that are expiring, because I do have a list of 4-year, et cetera. Some boards are 3 years, some are 5. That maybe we go ahead and publish. I was talking to Joetta, publish the board openings, let people apply for these positions, because I think a lot of the boards, what we're winding up with is that they go to the meeting when their term is up, and somebody looks at them and says, "Do you want to stay on the board?" And they say yes, and then it's not giving anybody else a chance if maybe they were interested in some of these boards. So with the commission's permission, I would like to start posting any board openings we have. So you will have, if that person is interested in continuing on the board, you will have that, but then you might have some other options too. And we would probably do that a month prior to you deciding on, give them time to give applications. And I did speak with Joetta, and we'd post it in the newspaper and on our website.
So you're seeing, for example, the weed board for the opening that's on July 1st of 2023, you would post that in June and try to get some applicants in for that.
Yes, and then the commission could select from the applicants that applied, just so that we can kind of, open up the boards a little bit. Just because somebody's been on a board for 20 years doesn't mean they're the best option.
Okay.
So is there any other that are need to be appointed today then, or?
Not that I know of for today. I think with you guys going through your portfolios, those were the board positions that I needed filled for right now. And then, of course, the planning and zoning one. But I can have an even more, now that I know the commission is okay with us posting those, I can give you the update list of when things are up for time-wise.
Could be good.
Okay.
Makes sense?
Yeah, I did post, I had Joetta post last week, anybody that was interested, any boards put their names in, and we, it was a week only on it, but we did have a couple of people, and that was Brock White, and then another individual for talking about on the job authority, Stark County Job Authority would put in for, that was the only two we had there, but yeah, they can do that. Okay, if there's no other board member posts, then we need to do, then we'll move forward with the 2023 meeting dates. I see you gave a couple options. You're moving it to Wednesday or leaving it at Tuesday, right? And the times
Yes.
are-
So I did option one, which is if we moved it to Wednesday and then the commission can decide on a time, have 8 a.m., 8:30 a.m., 9 a.m. This is all of the required, meetings. There is 2 in August, 2 in September, 2 in December. The reason why I proposed Wednesdays as opposed to Tuesdays is because if you look at your second option, which is keeping it on Tuesdays, there was a lot of conflicts with those Tuesdays, everything from July 4th, we're not even open, to a lot of ones where if it's on Tuesday, we're not open on that Monday. And so there's a lot that gets done on Monday prior to the commission meeting. So I guess I would prefer if the commission would be open to switching to Wednesdays and then choosing your time, or if you have another added date you want in there, that's fine too. These are just options.
I guess on my own opinion, I'd rather stay on Tuesdays. I mean, it's just, as the old saying goes, that's just the way we've been doing it.
Creature of habit.
And we could set potentially, and
Change
I'm
dates.
wide open. I kind of agree with Bernie that everybody knows first Tuesday is the meeting date. But we could select the Thursday of each of those days when you have a conflict with Tuesday, correct, right now, and set that at the meeting date? Is that,
So if you choose to go and stick with Tuesdays, then you're gonna have to change at least,
January, July, and September?
yes, to a different day. So then really your meeting isn't on Tuesdays anyways every month. It's only on Tuesdays 9 months out of 12.
Yeah, but we wouldn't be unique in that aspect. I mean, I know a lot of, the city commission used to always meet on Mondays, and then they would say whenever there was a Monday holiday, it goes to Tuesday. So if we kind of said we meet on Tuesdays, and when there's a Tuesday meeting or a Tuesday conflict, we meet on Thursday or Wednesday, whatever. That's there. People, I think people adopt. But again, if you have a meeting, I'll show up.
So are you open to, if we do option 2, and then moving the ones that are, courthouse closed
Sure.
or whatever else,
that one on
moving
the 4th
those
or whatever,
3
yeah.
to Wednesday?
Wednesday
Are-
or Thursday, because sometimes there's a challenge getting that information correct in a short period of time. So if they can get it done on Tuesday, and then we have the Wednesday meeting, fine. If they need an extra day to put that packet together, and we meet Thursday, I'm fine with that too. Either way, I don't care.
I mean, I like the Wednesdays, but you're totally right. If they need that extra.
Well,
we're
that
already
is
moving it.
giving the extra day. So if the courthouse is closed on the 2nd and you move it to Wednesday, it gives me
Well,
the
I'm
3rd
yeah,
to
so
put the
I'm-
packets together.
I'm just looking at 2023. July 4th is on a Tuesday.
Yes.
So if we have the meeting on the 5th, then they don't have this information available. So that might be the month we pick Thursday instead of Wednesday.
Okay, then maybe just move them all 3 to Thursday and then we'll just have Tuesdays and Thursdays, if that works for you.
I'm fine with that.
Yep,
Would
and
you
then the
guys
only
be
other
fine with
one
that?
we talked about was the NADCO meetings. Do you know the dates on that?
They moved the NACO meetings. It's gonna be the second week instead of the first.
Got it.
And so there's no conflict there.
Got it, okay. In either case, Tuesdays or Wednesdays.
Correct.
Got it, okay. So I would move we adopt option 2, stay at the 9 AM, and move the January 3rd meeting or January, July, and September meetings to the Thursday following the first Tuesday.
You're moving January to the 5th and July 6th. September 6th or 8th? 7th, okay. And how about December 27th on a Wednesday, you gonna move that to Thursday too? or-
Well, the reason why that one's on a Wednesday is because I need time to make sure that all of the corrections are made when we
Okay.
adjust the budget at the end of the year. So you guys are stuck there.
Leave that Wednesday, okay. Okay, if I have a motion, do I have a second?
A second.
A second. Any other discussion? Gave a motion then to move it to 9 o'clock on Tuesdays, except for January 5th, July 6th, September 7th, right? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Next, you have a Christmas Eve holiday.
I actually have my deputy auditor presenting with you the information on that because she does payroll, so she has the most knowledge on holidays, I tell you.
Okay.
I didn't make it in the packets, it's just in Century Code. I wanted to give you. Do I need to, can I go back to my?
Sure.
Oh, this is the state century code, right?
Which same,
Oh, okay. This is the state century code and the one in your packet is our century, is our policy. Yep.
Okay. Lonnie Honor, Deputy Auditor. So I'm representing the staff of Stark County, addressing the Christmas Eve holiday. This was before the commission. Is that echoing,
yes.
Yes.
right? Is that because I'm too close to you? I'll go up here. So when we were setting up holidays at the beginning of the year, this came before the commission in the February meeting. And in that meeting, by a 4-1 vote, the commission decided that we would be open the Friday before Christmas and not observe the Christmas Eve holiday. So if you look at our existing policy, the holiday policy, it'll show that for Christmas, on a typical year when it's not on a weekend, we get 4 hours off for Christmas Eve, and then we get 8 hours off for Christmas Day. So this year's a unique year because Christmas Eve and Christmas Day are holidays. So for Christmas Eve this year, we are going to actually lose 4 holiday hours. The staff would like you guys to reconsider and potentially give them off all day or noon, up till noon on Friday. So if you'll take a look at our policies, I'm stuttering. Our policy says county offices will close at noon on December 24th unless it is a holiday or weekend pursuant to North Dakota Century Code 1-0302. And I gave to you the North Dakota Century Code. And if you will look at 1-0302.1, it says when a holiday falls on a Saturday, the Friday immediately before shall be the holiday. The staff did call the state, check with the state to see how they are handling Christmas Eve this year. And the state employees typically work all day on a Friday. They work till 5. So this year, they are closing at noon, so they are getting 4 hours for Christmas Eve. So we would like the commission to consider closing all day Friday and giving our staff their 4 hours of Christmas Eve holiday that they will just be losing if we're open. They just won't get those 4 hours. Does that make sense? Typically, they get 4 hours for Christmas Eve, 8 hours for Christmas Day. As it stands, they will only get 8 hours for Christmas Day. They won't get any hours for Christmas Eve.
And under, just for question purposes, then on this unique year, when is Christmas celebrated? Monday as the 25th?
Yes, we will be closed, the courthouse will be closed on Monday. They will get that as their holiday.
Reopen on the 26th?
Yep, correct.
Or the 27th. We reopen on the 27th.
I'm sorry, I'm in 2023. So, okay, so we would be closed we would observe Christmas on the 26th,
Yes, on Monday.
on Monday. I
Yes.
should have been clarified.
Yeah, that is when we will be closed. And as it stands now, we'll be open as normal till noon on Friday. I went back and listened to the meeting when you guys made this decision in February. And I think there was some confusion and some belief at that time that we were maybe getting extra hours, that the employees were getting extra hours, which isn't true. We were just asking for the 4 hours that we typically would get. And there was concern about, what's the state doing? And at that time, nobody knew how the state was handling their holidays or what they were doing with it.
I'm a jerk, I'm gonna say no.
Well, and what's really funny about this is they state when the holiday falls on a Saturday, but they don't address if the holiday falls on a Sunday.
It does address
Oh,
that.
where does it do that?
It's in the one above it. 010302, it says if December falls on a Sunday, the Monday following shall be the holiday.
Okay, thank
So
you.
yes, it does address it. And then one more thing, if you will look, in 2016 is the last time this happened. So if we're gonna do what we did in the past, in 2016, they were closed and gave those staff those 4 hours. So that's what they've done in the past, and it's closed on Friday.
That's 7 years ago, that's almost a whole decade ago.
Well, it takes that long for it to come up, right?
Every 7 years.
Every 7 years, yep.
Exactly.
So that's the last time it happened.
I think I was the only dissenting vote on there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a motion that we close on the 23rd of December, 2022. Do you have a second?
A second.
Have a second? Any other discussion?
So if you are a traditional hourly employee, you only get holiday pay on that day?
Yes, if you are a traditional employee, such as the auditor staff, would get 4 hours of holiday pay for that day.
And they would be working the four previous days?
And correct, they would work regular hours Monday through Thursday, and then get 4 hours of holiday pay on Friday.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, Commissioner White,
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh,
Nay.
Commissioner Claris,
Aye.
Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Lana.
Merry Christmas.
Next is Social Services Employees ARPA bonus update. Does the state's attorney have some comment on that? Amanda?
Pat, okay, so for the new commissioners, do you guys are aware how the Rough Rider North Human Service Zone works? So we're not actually, it's a zone that encompasses several different counties, and we're not the host county, Billings County is. And Pat Weir, who's the state's attorney of Billings County, is also the legal counsel for the Rough Rider North Human Service Zone. So he had written a legal opinion that he did not think that we would be able to grant these bonuses based on when the Rough Rider North Human Service, or not the Rough Rider North, when the Human Service Zones were legislatively put together. The state and the Department of Human Services just completely cut the county commission out of the budgeting. All of the budget has to go through the Department of Human Services. I know there was some distaste to that. I have spoken with Attorney Weir. I have spoken with some other members of the Rough Rider North Human Service Zone Board. I know Pat has reached out to the Department of Human Services to see if their legal attorney or their attorney would give a legal opinion. And as it stands right now, I don't have any basis of disagreeing with him. if he says it can't be done, considering he's their legal counsel and payroll has to go through them, there's really nothing that I can see within the statutes that he has brought forth or the people that I have talked to, short of the Department of Human Services legal or their legal team stating that Billings County can go ahead and issue those that would allow us to do it. So it's not even really so much a matter for Stark County. It is to some degree in the fact that we offered to chip into these bonuses, but we really can't force Billings County to do anything, and it's Billings County who is the host county, who runs the payroll, and it's their state's attorney who is the legal advisor to the zone. So I don't see anything that I differ from his opinion at this point. And I don't see any mechanism, I guess, for the county for Stark County specifically to, reach around that, I guess, or force Billings County to do something. So it's an unfortunate thing. I can tell you our social workers are very hardworking and they very much deserve it. It's just when the zones were created, they really stripped the county of those budgeting powers, so.
Did we pass a motion on that, I believe, a dollar amount?
And I guess what I would ask for you guys to do is just to suspend the payments that you were going to give to Billings to use for these bonuses, to suspend it for now, and then tell and unless, Billings County decides on something differently. If, I know Pat has reached out, like I said, to the Department of Health's legal team. So if he would hear something differently and his opinion would change, then you guys haven't just completely stopped it. You've just suspended it until you've heard something differently. But until then, I just don't know how we do it.
I can take, it was 15, sorry, Commissioner. It was 15,000. So I can just take that 15,000 and keep it marked as social services and pending so that it's not spent, for anything else as far as ARPA goes. And then if something comes up, otherwise next year sometime you might have to rescind spending those monies on that.
And I think that's a good way to approach it for now. Like I said, maybe their legal team does find a workaround for it, but at least then you've got those. If you don't need the money right now for something else, and you just suspend it, then it's still there if you need it, or if it can legally be given to them.
Yeah, that money doesn't need to be emptied out of that account until the end of 2024. So I think you're.
And the other thing I think it's important for that is there's a portion of that statute that talks about that general funds dollars can't be used towards the zone. And so you don't want that money necessarily hitting the general fund, because then when that happens, then the money's definitely off the table. So if it's just the ARPA funds and you're kind of just suspending it for now, then you've got a fallback if and when you can use it.
And that's more where Billings County was coming into issues with that general fund thing, because all their stuff, if we sent them a check right now, it would have to be received into their general fund and then paid out through their payroll, and they can't use general fund dollars to pay out through their payroll to social service employees. So that also is against the Century Code statute. So that it was running into all sorts of roadblocks with how they could do that legally.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, but it's
Well,
a landmine.
So this program's been around for a couple of years, is when they made the change 2 years ago?
which one?
Billings County?
The,
to do
the Rough Rider zone, you mean?
Correct.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
2
The
years
state
ago.
took that over beginning of 20, correct?
I think so.
The
2 to 4
employees
years
all
ago.
work
Yeah,
in Dickinson.
2020.
All the employees work in Dickinson, but the host county is Billings County.
And they're technically employees for the state of North Dakota.
Right. It's this weird hybrid where they put them under the state umbrella, but then kept them somewhat under the county.
The 15,000, what was that used for? Like a one-time cost of living allowance for the employees, a retention?
Yeah.
The way it was explained to us is that the 5 counties, less one, were all in favor of trying to do something for those employees. And so it's less, at least 2. I guess my thing is I'd really like to see it clarified. So my recommendation would be that we can earmark 15,000 for this and just have it as an asterisk on the bottom of of the ARPA funds, but I'd hate to see us suspend the motion that we passed. I'd rather see us stop, kind of terminate it, because all of a sudden, somewhere down the road, that this could get lost in the shuffle. And this way, if it comes in, we know what's going on, but if it goes beyond that, well, no one would, we'd all hopefully be all here 2024. But I'd like some clarity on that, and if we can just earmark the funds, 15,000 in the event this all gets worked out. If it works out, we are opening a can of worms for other state agencies. We have
The only issue with that is that those funds then have to stay in that ARPA fund, because if they hit the
Right.
general fund, then they're completely out of.
right.
And they can stay in that specific COVID fund account that's outside of the general until the end of 2024.
Right, but my point is, I'm not much as worried about Billings County. I'm more worried about Stark County. And if we get to a point where we're getting at the end of the useful life or acceptable use, when we can use those funds, then why would we sit there and still hold those? I think we have to use those for another project.
So do we have to rescind the motion?
I don't know, but I'd hate to us to have it suspended, because down the road, we've dealt with this where, well, I can't remember what we said, what we did, all this kind of stuff. So if we have it hard, definitive, black and white, then it's much easier for us in the future
Was
to
the
bring this back up.
15,000 pointed at 10 employees or?
No, there's 50 employees, or 52, I believe.
Okay.
And each county was gonna give a different amount based on some
Okay.
population number. I believe the other counties were gonna give, Dunn was gonna give us 10.
And it was,
So the counties that didn't jump in were Golden Valley and.
Well, Billings can't.
Billings County can't, and Golden Valley County, so.
So just for the new commissioners that haven't dealt too much with the social service stuff, when they are talking about us being in a zone, the zone is set up, yes, they are state employees. Every other zone, wherever the social service building is located, is actually the host county, but Billings County agreed to be the host county. And part of that is because they offer 100% insurance coverage. So even though they're state employees, all their payroll and all their onboarding and offboarding and their health insurance benefits are paid by the Stark County Auditor's Office.
But through Billings County.
But it's not Stark County, sorry, Billings County Auditor's Office. So they are, they're on their payroll even though they're state employees. So basically the state took the control over it, but left the counties to do the payroll and everything else, even though they're state employees.
It's
so the money was coming out of the ARPA, the 15,000. There's no way that at this time that they can take that money.
Correct. And for us, we had ARPA funding available where we could have done it. The thing with, and you kind of seen in the emails, like Golden Valley is very small. They don't have any more ARPA dollars left, so they can't contribute. Billings County got a very small amount of ARPA, so they can't contribute. So it kind of just ran into that thing where they don't even have the ARPA dollars to contribute to the bucket. And that you can't contribute general dollars. So.
It was kind of, there's a kind of a two-prong reason why. It was not only they didn't have ARPA funds, but then they couldn't take it out of their general funds because the Department of Human Services has taken all of the county's power for budgeting from the human service funds away and kept it with the state.
Sounds unfortunate for all those employees.
Yeah, it is.
Your discussion then?
So what was your motion?
I'm just made a wish list. It's Christmas season, so Santa Claus.
Well, going back to this discussion of, there is a motion that was passed to give this ARPA money to the social services at one time.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, pending, we could do it illegally.
Yes.
Pending.
It was pending some decision.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe we don't have to rescind the motion if it's pending if you come up with a.
I wasn't at that meeting, so I don't know how that motion.
I think that the motion, the pending part was basically when we were sending the payment out. There wasn't really a pending part on, we're not gonna give them 15,000. I know there was also a part about if they get money back? Are they going to reimburse us? That kind of discussion. I think if you just want to go ahead and just rescind the whole motion with the 15,000 ARPA for social service employees, I think that would just clean it up and it would kind of take care of anything that was related to that motion.
So moved.
A motion to have a second.
Second.
Have a second. Any other discussion?
What is the motion?
To rescind the
Rescind the
previous
motion,
one.
but
I was just
asterisk,
wondering what the wording was.
yeah, rescind the motion, but to kind of asterisk earmark those funds, kind of earmarked until we get resolution, which doesn't sound like we're gonna do. But at some point, we need to be able.
And you don't even need to say that your mark. I can just put it on my computer as this could be used as this.
Okay, well,
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Clares.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried. Next, you have approval of the election workers payroll. It's like Auditor Richard.
Okay, so you'll see this is just a formality thing. You know, we have it in the budget for payroll for 2022. This is all of our election workers who worked. And I just needed approval from the commission to pay the $10,935 for hourly election workers and the mileage for $461.84 for the 2022 general election.
Look for a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Clares.
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Next is the county CDs renewal. Auditor Richard.
I'm just giving your update for the CDs that are renewed in 2022, November. We had 2 that came up for renewal. I renewed 1 CD with Bravera at 3.31%, $500,000, and I renewed another CD, and Cornerstone Bank won that one, and that is a 12-month at 3.52%. We are seeing an increase in CD rates, and just so that you guys are aware, especially the new commission, I've kind of taken the stance, and I think that other commissioners have taken the stance that we keep anything as far as CDs, checking, et cetera, in our local banks. So if they're one of our main banks here, I use them. If they just have one person in a small building, but they're located out of Minnesota, I do not move money from our local banks to outside sources, even if it does yield a little bit higher of a percentage rate. I think that overall, we like to just keep things here in Stark County.
So that we don't need to any other further action of that.
Nope, that's just your information.
Okay. Next, we'll move on to the beer and liquor license fee schedule.
Amanda, do you want to start with this one since?
Sure. So I think sometime earlier this year, I was tasked with putting together some continuity perhaps on liquor licensing. So the statute talks about a resolution by the county commissioners to issue a retail license along the sale of alcoholic beverages, and that you can make essentially a fee scale for the sale of on and off beer and liquor. If you go into your packet, there's a Stark County beer and or liquor license fee schedule. And this is how the statute breaks it down. These are the amounts that you can work with. So on, off sale, on and off sale, club or nonprofit, special permit. And I think the problem prior was that there was no real set fees. So whenever someone would come in and ask for a liquor license, there was no consistency. It was just kind of all over by the board what they decided to do. So what I think my understanding was the commission wanted to do was prior to the next year coming up was go through these categories and decide then what the price was going to be for the renewal or new liquor licenses that were being requested by the county.
So prior to Amanda redoing the forms here, I actually had redone all the forms this summer. I'm fine with using Amanda's as is, and swapping them out, and we can post the Stark County beer and our liquor license fee schedule and application on our website along with the resolution under the alcohol permitting. And I would encourage the commission to sign the resolution for the alcohol permitting. So every year, I would say probably in November, you guys can choose what you want to set the beer and liquor licensing at.
Yeah, and the resolution right now says that the last regular scheduled Stark County Commission, I just threw that language in. I agree it should be earlier in the year so that everyone's on notice for what it's going to cost them for the next year. So, whatever meeting yearly you decide that you want to have this discussion and set the fees for the next year.
I would say November. If the commission makes that decision, we'll do it in November, and then I can send out the letters to our Stark County beer and liquor licenses. We have kind of the same couple, few, and they like to be slow with turning in their application. So I try to give them at least a month heads up. But I can send that, and then whatever price you guys decide for that year, I can tell them. So what I told them, because in the past, they just always went by whatever they paid previously. And you can see that all the way in the back of your packets, like the last page. You can see what they paid in 2022. So whatever they paid previously, the amounts just never changed. So many of these entities, I think I received all of these except for St. Pius. They paid, they sent in a check for what they've always paid. So for this year, my recommendation is to just go ahead and honor what they've done previously and then pass your resolution. And then in November of every year, you can tell them how much their liquor license is going to be, because a lot of them already sent in checks. We didn't cash them. We told them that it might change, and that's up to the commission. But a lot of them did already drop off their checks.
It would have been nice to be consistent and had it in like a month ago or whatever, so they would have known, because, yeah, you want to keep it more consistent than what it is.
So I think if you guys want to accept the current rates and the current licenses for the entities that turn them in, like I said, I received everyone but St. Pius so far. So that way they can be open on New Year's if they need to be open on New Year's. And then accept the resolution, and then in November, I'll make sure to put that on the agenda, and you guys can assign dollar amounts per license, and then I can put that in their notice.
Probably do it in September or October, maybe, not November.
Maybe in October. Yeah, and that's fine too, because I'll just tell them what their amount is when I send their reminder
So what's the
letter.
deadline for them to bring in their applications?
Well, right now it's December because they want it before the New Year's.
I know, so why don't we make the deadline, I know with the city, I think our deadline is October or something to get in our, and then they take the time to discuss it and stuff, and go through them all, which we don't have that much to go through, but I think we should make the deadline October 31st, so we can have a November meeting, discuss it, and then.
Well, you'll have to set the amounts prior to that, so I
yes,
can tell them
agree.
how much the
I
amount
totally
is.
agree, and once we get those, they probably won't change much after that, but I still just bring it up for discussion every year, but I think waiting for the last minute for them to bring in their, applications, and if there's any discrepancies, there's no time to get back with them to straighten it out, because
Are you saying having their applications in by October 31st?
That's what, that would be my suggestion, yes. That way we could discuss, have them at our November meeting. And then,
Yeah, I'm fine with that timeline. In fact, I think you're absolutely right. So I'm just looking up there and some of the venues, you know, are paying a different amount. And Bernie, you're obviously.
that's why I said there's no consistency to
Yeah,
what's going on.
because
And that's
in
why
the
this
city,
should
is
have
it straight and wide, whether you're open 5 days a year or 300 days a
Right.
year, it's the same fee.
That's right.
And all the different amounts reflect, because I mean, their amounts have never been changed. So if they started getting their liquor beer license with us 20 years ago and they were set at $50, they're still paying $50 today. Whereas the newer ones, you can tell which ones are newer because they're paying like $500 for a beer and $500 for a liquor.
And the city, you said, is the same for beer and liquor, same price?
There's different, there's a multiple different licensing, peers, you know, for what I pay, what's 3,000 or something a year, but that's mine's on and off and.
Okay.
And some
Everything,
opening and
okay.
everything, so there's different steps to it, but I think this needs to get discussed earlier so we can have it set, so when they get their application, it's written on the application what the permit fees are.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at, you have a lot of 500/500, and then you have one that I'm pretty sure is open, you know, seasonal. I don't know if that's the reason for 300.
I think it just depended on when they applied.
Okay.
You know, our oldest ones are obviously the cheaper ones. Our newest ones are, you know, all in that $500 range.
Why doesn't Assumption Abbey have a number on it?
So they have a liquor license because they make all the wine for the Catholic Church, but they do not have a beer license.
It's too late to change anything for this year. We'd have to be
won't
doing
change
anything
anything
for
for this year,
2024. So.
For 2024?
Right, and obviously their applications have been turned in, and a lot of them did already turn in their checks, and we didn't reseat them in. So the commission could change them, but if they just want to accept what they're already paying and what they turned in their checks for 2023, I think that'd be great.
I think that we probably are tied into doing that because we don't want to give them a hardship by not being open on New Year's Day or anything like that, so I think we have to go with what we have here, but this is where we were at in the discussion last year at the same time, and now we're still sitting in the same spot.
Yes, I would like the commission to, you know, probably assign what they want to approve earlier, like Bernie's talking about. I will say I can give them notice about deadlines, but to get things in, but I can tell you there's probably going to be some that no matter what notice or deadline you give them,
It'll only happen the first year.
That's right.
they will be in here squawking in December. So,
At that point, you know, it's,
So do you
or
need,
else I think the city has a penalty. I know the state has a penalty if you don't have it in on time, and I think the city does too. So,
so do you need a motion to change that application deadline to 31 of October?
no, I can just put that in there. I think the biggest thing that we need is for the Board of Commissioners, if this is how you want your resolution to be going forward. And, you know, if you look at the resolution, it says that at the last regular scheduled Stark County Commission meeting of the year, which we're going to have to change that part of the resolution we'll put October. The Stark County Board of County Commissioners shall determine and set price for each liquor and or beer license for the upcoming year. So we'll just change that resolution to say
well, I think,
October.
but I think
Meeting.
before that, we should have this paper more consistent. It shouldn't be from 50 to 500, it should be just a set price.
Oh, those are your options. Amanda wanted to give you options as the commission, so you can change
But I
that
think it
to
should
whatever
be a set
you.
price, yes.
Yep, she just wanted you to know the ranges.
Before the applications go out in 2023.
It should be-
Yes.
It should be written right on their application as far as what the cost of the application is.
So are you wanting to put something on the agenda, Bernie, like early in 2023 to discuss this and get this basically
I
set
think, yeah,
before
I think the
October
sooner
31st?
we get that set, that's, otherwise, like I said, last year at this meeting, we were having the same discussion.
What's here in front of us now, so.
I mean, if you guys wanna look
I
at it
think
now,
it's-
or
it's
whatever you wanna do.
Pretty simple and straightforward. I would propose, if I could, 500 for each.
Even the clubs and nonprofit or,
The clubs and nonprofits, I think I would go 500 and 1,000. Or 500 for beer and 1,000 for beer and liquor.
so they'd be the same as the others then.
Yep. I mean, if you guys wanna go 250 and 500, I'm good with that too.
I think I'm more in favor of the clubs and nonprofits being a little less than the regular ones that are open full-time, but
I would say,
But then do the clubs, I mean, I think there's certain things that clubs are supposed to do that is not always followed, like gaming should only go to, like the St. A's, you can only gamble in there if you're a club member. Whereas other places in town don't follow those same rules. And at that point, yeah, I can see why they would get a lower rate. And then there used to be a rule out there where only members can drink in clubs. Well, I don't know if that still is a law or not, but I mean, I don't have a problem, I do not have a problem with giving clubs a discounted rate. But it needs to be consistent.
I think if it was across the board, straight consistent for, beer, 500. So even for clubs and.
Could I make a
nonprofits.
recommendation? It seems Corey and Bernie have background and feelings on this. Maybe you guys should just meet one time between now and the soon and bring a recommendation to us to act on early in 23.
Perfect.
Sure.
With what prices you think we should go with?
Yep, because Bernie's got the experience in this, so.
But you guys can probably go ahead and approve the resolution, just saying that you guys will be deciding, and I'm gonna say October. It says right now, last regular scheduled meeting. I would say October.
Well, I would say they have to have it in by October 31st, so we can discuss it in November meeting. So however you want to put that into that resolution.
Well, October is when, so I can give them their deadline to have their applications in, but October is when you guys will determine the price for each liquor and or beer license.
I think we're gonna do that in the next meeting, or,
A lot sooner than
yeah,
that.
but I mean, I think we can have it.
So
at
we
the-
don't want to change it yearly or anything like that. Okay.
I mean, we can discuss it yearly, but I don't think we'll change it a whole lot. I mean, if we discuss it at the October meeting, I mean, okay, Commissioner White and I can discuss it, we'll bring it at the January, February meeting, and then discuss it again in the October meeting, so it's on their application, I guess, we can do that.
Okay. I think I'm open, then I don't need any sort of motion from you guys if you. The last part is, all the applications, we have received. Like I said, I received one, for beer and liquor from everyone except for St. Pius, which I actually got back in the mail, so I'm not sure what's going on with St. Pius. But, I did receive one from everybody else for beer and liquor. If you want to accept all of the beer and liquor licenses received, along with, their current fees that were given to them. Like I said, everybody but St. Pius, you can accept these applications and fees for 2023.
do we need to approve these individually or Amanda?
I guess I probably would just to make
Okay. You have a liquor license then for 319 Grill and Lounge. Do you have a motion to approve?
So move.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, a second, all in favor? Aye. Those opposed, motion carry. Yeah, that's for liquor for both beer and alcohol, right? That one?
I would put those two together. I would do your beer and liquor licenses together.
'Cause I only have the application here for liquor, I don't have for beer on this one.
It should have been the second page after.
Okay. 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 Okay, I guess since I already did the liquor, I'd like to have a motion to approve their beer license for Green 19 Grill and Lounge.
I'll move.
Okay, a motion, do I have a second?
There you go.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Next, we got a Wicks Barn and Lounge. It's for beer and liquor license. Motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
A motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Next is for County Line Truck Stop for liquor license and beer license.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
A motion approved. Second.
Is this a off-sale license then, or what is this one?
Yep, it's off sale.
Okay.
I see one of the applications Scott was, and it's Scott Wax. They got a misspelling.
Well, they filled out their own application, so.
Okay. A motion and a second. All of those in favor, state aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. And we got Assumption Abbey for a liquor license. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion approved. I have a second.
Second.
Second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Next is for a liquor license and beer license for August House. We have a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
We have a second.
I'll second.
And a second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Next is for Fluffy Fields
Yep.
Winery, right?
Yep.
We have a liquor license and beer license. Motion to approve. Motion approved. Do I have a second? A second? You have a second? Okay. All in favor, state aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. And we got Leffer Columbus Club, liquor license and beer license. A motion to approve.
So move.
I'll second.
Have a second. All in favor, state aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. That covers all of them that we have, right?
I have a question.
Yes.
Karen, does Wicks Barn Lodge LLC,
Which one?
the Wicks, their application doesn't have a signature or notary or anything else? Do you have that from them online? Because that might be something you want to address. I know you.
Yeah, we realized after, because I think, did they mail theirs? Or did they come in? There was, I'm pretty sure they mailed theirs. We realized that after that they didn't notarize it, but we are gonna have them come in and notarize it. I'm pretty sure they mailed it to us.
Okay.
Already passed it. We should have caught that though, I guess. Guilty as anybody.
Well, I mean, they did fill in all the blanks, so I think they were waiting to make sure that you were approving the $500 for each of their license, and then they were gonna give us a check. And so we can, when they drop off the check, then we can have them finish it.
Okay. Is there anything else?
Just a quick question on the liquor licenses, or?
Right.
Okay, no, I got one other question.
There's nothing else in that, then any other business?
Just a quick question, when the statements, tax statements, I've had a couple people ask, when do you anticipate getting those out?
Oh, you know,
If you knew he wouldn't ask.
they are currently stuffing the envelopes starting today, so
Soon.
the next couple days. Yeah.
Just walk in the old commission room, you'll see
I mean,
them all
we
in there.
follow Century Code on when we have to have them out, so.
All right.
Anything else? Look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Those opposed?